I purchased my ideal home and invited my family to celebrate at a housewarming. Nobody showed up. They were all at my sister's unveiling of her new car. As I flicked on the lights, my phone lit up with a call from my dad, his voice urgent. "We need to discuss something now." I'm Aaron, 29, the eldest, the organizer, the one with extra batteries and a savings account for emergencies. I work as a project coordinator in construction, managing permits, timelines, and budgets. I thrive on tidy lists, neatly labeled containers, and doors that latch smoothly on the first try. My family calls me reliable and pragmatic. To me, I'm the silent machinery that keeps their chaos running. My sister, Tessa, 26, is the family's darling, impulsive, charismatic, a dreamer. Our parents cheer her every whim. When I got my driver's license, I bought a used Civic with my own money and learned to change its oil in the driveway. When Tessa got hers, Dad declared, "A young lady needs something secure," and handed her keys to a brand new hatchback, complete with a bow from the dealer. I learned long ago not to seek their praise. You do what's right and move forward. Buying this house wasn't about recognition. It was about a door that locks tight, about escaping the sound of Dad's TV blaring through thin walls, about not sharing fridge space with Tessa's empty meal prep containers. I saved for 4 years, extra shifts, no trips, roommates who never wash dishes, and a spreadsheet named Brick by Brick. I said no to small indulgences so I could say yes to this one big thing. Last month, that yes came true. A modest craftsman with a lemon tree in the yard and a porch swing the previous owners left, asking only that you sit in it. 2 bedrooms, a creaky hallway, a small fireplace with a single tile painted with a lopsided blue fish. Running my hand along the kitchen counter, I felt like I'd found something made for me. I sent a picture to the family group chat, keys in hand, a sold sign behind me. The caption: "Housewarming next Saturday at 5. Chili, cornbread, fire pit if the breeze allows." I got 3 confetti emojis, a proud of you son that felt copied and pasted, and from Tessa a champagne bottle sticker with yas. All week, I cleaned cabinets, lined drawers, painted over wall scuffs. I bought folding chairs and 8 matching bowls. I found a used rug and drove it home, poorly tied to my Civic, its edges flapping like banners in my side mirror. On Saturday, I strung up backyard lights and lit 3 citronella candles that smelled like lemon polish. The chili bubbled gently. I popped the cornbread in the oven at 420. A cooler sat on the deck with ice, 3 sodas, 2 beers, and 1 root beer for Dad, who likes to act young when he's in a good mood. I set out napkins and cheap plastic spoons. At 5:02, I glanced at the street empty. At 5:11, I lit the candles anyway. At 5:18, I texted, "Edie." Mom replied, "Soon," with a heart. Dad didn't respond. Tessa sent a photo. Her in sunglasses on a car lot, posing by a sleek red car captioned, "We did a thing." At 5:33, another buzz, a video from Mom. "Look at our girl," she said, filming as Tessa revved the engine. Someone laughed. The salesman clapped. The video cut off. I stared at my phone. I purchased my ideal home and invited my family to celebrate at a housewarming. Nobody showed up. They were all at my sister's unveiling of her new car. As I flicked on the lights, my phone lit up with a call from my dad, his voice urgent. "We need to discuss something now." I'm Aaron, 29, the eldest, the organizer, the one with extra batteries and a savings account for emergencies. I work as a project coordinator in construction, managing permits, timelines, and budgets. I thrive on tidy lists, neatly labeled containers, and doors that latch smoothly on the first try. My family calls me reliable and pragmatic. To me, I'm the silent machinery that keeps their chaos running. My sister, Tessa, 26, is the family's darling, impulsive, charismatic, a dreamer. Our parents cheer her every whim. When I got my driver's license, I bought a used Civic with my own money and learned to change its oil in the driveway. When Tessa got hers, Dad declared, "A young lady needs something secure," and handed her keys to a brand new hatchback, complete with a bow from the dealer. I learned long ago not to seek their praise. You do what's right and move forward. Buying this house wasn't about recognition. It was about a door that locks tight, about escaping the sound of Dad's TV blaring through thin walls, about not sharing fridge space with Tessa's empty meal prep containers. I saved for 4 years, extra shifts, no trips, roommates who never wash dishes, and a spreadsheet named Brick by Brick. I said no to small indulgences so I could say yes to this one big thing. Last month, that yes came true. A modest craftsman with a lemon tree in the yard and a porch swing the previous owners left, asking only that you sit in it. 2 bedrooms, a creaky hallway, a small fireplace with a single tile painted with a lopsided blue fish. Running my hand along the kitchen counter, I felt like I'd found something made for me. I sent a picture to the family group chat, keys in hand, a sold sign behind me. The caption: housewarming next Saturday at 5. Chili cornbread fire pit if the breeze allows. I got 3 confetti emojis, a proud of you son that felt copied and pasted, and from Tessa, a champagne bottle sticker with yas. All week, I cleaned cabinets, lined drawers, painted over wall scuffs. I bought folding chairs and 8 matching bowls. I found a used rug and drove it home, poorly tied to my Civic, its edges flapping like banners in my side mirror. On Saturday, I strung up backyard lights and lit 3 citronella candles that smelled like lemon polish. The chili bubbled gently. I popped the cornbread in the oven at 420. A cooler sat on the deck with ice, 3 sodas, 2 beers, and 1 root beer for Dad, who likes to act young when he's in a good mood. I set out napkins and cheap plastic spoons. At 5:02, I glanced at the street, empty. At 5:11, I lit the candles anyway. At 5:18 I texted, ETA. Mom replied, soon, with a heart. Dad didn't respond. Tessa sent a photo. Her in sunglasses on a car lot, posing by a sleek red car, captioned, we did a thing. At 5:33, another buzz, a video from Mom. Look at our girl, she said, filming as Tessa revved the engine. Someone laughed. The salesman clapped. The video cut off. I stared at my phone. The chili formed a glossy bubble and burst. I turned off the stove. At 5:41, I switched on my living room lights for the first time, expecting that warm, homey feeling to wash over me. The room looked staged like a real estate listing, clean, prepared, lifeless. My phone rang. Dad, the screen read. I let it ring 1 beat longer than I would have last year, then picked up. We need to talk, he said, skipping pleasantries. Okay, I replied, staring at the porch where I'd placed a small welcome sign, now feeling like a punchline. Now, he insisted. I stood in my own home's glow, phone pressed to my ear, hearing the tone Dad uses when he's about to hand me a task. I didn't know what they wanted yet, but I knew they were at a dealership while I stood in a silent kitchen with cooling chili. I leaned against the counter and said, I'm home. I didn't say, and no one came. The porch swing creaked in a faint breeze. The sign looked foolish, a setup with no payoff. I hung up and placed my phone face down. Somewhere in town, Tessa circled a lot in her new car as everyone applauded. I stood in my house, listening to the fridge hum on. The first sting wasn't loud. It was the lights glowing for an audience that picked a different stage. I served myself a bowl of chili and ate over the sink. It was good. The room was still. The lights stayed on. I didn't weep or fume. I chewed, staring at the doorway, feeling a draft where the new weather stripping hadn't arrived. Then I washed the bowl, dried it, and set it face down on a towel, as if preparing for something I couldn't yet define. In our family, money always wore a disguise. Love, duty, discipline, whatever suited the moment. At 14, Dad called it responsibility, and charged me $100 a month for room and board from my grocery store job, saying it taught me the real world as he took the cash from my hand like a toll. At 16, when I asked where the money went, Mom said, into the family. When I pressed to see the family, Dad chuckled. By then, I'd started tracking things, dates and amounts in a phone note. I told myself it wasn't petty. It was a compass in a fog where others pretended the path didn't exist. Meanwhile, Tessa had a knack for showing up after the bill. She's a master of I want. Around her, people used gentler words: dreams, vision, potential. She tried 1 semester of community college, then quit because the professor was negative. She launched a candle business, never paying sales tax. She wanted to be a content creator, so she needed a better phone, a ring light, a creative space, a car for brand deals. Guess who calculated the budget for her creative space? Guess who hauled a couch from the garage? Guess who drove her to a collab? That was just a stranger's smelly apartment? When I pushed back, saying no to adding her to my phone plan or co-signing a lease, the words turned on me. I became cold, calculating, selfish. Mom would say, "Don't keep a ledger with family." Dad would say, "A man provides." In our house, a man provides covered everything from Tessa's $312 credit card, emergency, to Dad's $198 truck tires when he misjudged payday, to the $280 HOA fee they let slide into collections because HOAs are a scam, plus late fees and a lawyer's letter. There were smaller asks too. Disney Plus because we all watch, coffee pods because we like the good ones, a new vacuum because you can't clean without one. It was always we when they asked and you when they thanked. If I said no, Mom's voice turned teary. "We did everything for you. We fed you." Dad would cross his arms and stare out the window. "We're not asking for the moon. Just family." I tell people I'm not a saint. I'm a guy who likes clear budgets and plans. I helped when I could because it was easier than arguing, and because sometimes helping feels like loyalty, even when it's not. The house changed the equation. It meant I was done renting parts of my life to roommates or unexpected guests. It meant a door with my name on it, a deed no one else could claim. It meant we couldn't mean you without my consent. I told my parents I was house hunting. Mom said, "Get a guest room for Tessa while she figures things out." Dad said, "Make sure there's a garage for my table saw." Tessa said, "Your house will be amazing. Also, can I film in your kitchen? The lighting's perfect." When my offer was accepted, I brought cheap sparkling cider and paper cups to their place and said, "I did it." Mom hugged me, then immediately suggested putting Tessa on my address to lower her insurance, just for now. Dad grinned. "A property's a family asset." Tessa snapped a selfie in my car's mirror, posting, "Big change coming," with a sparkle emoji, as if my house were a prop in her story. I paid the down payment, closing costs, and for a pipe the inspector called hopeful. I signed 15 times, then once more. The pen felt weighty, satisfying. When the title officer slid the folder over and called me homeowner, a knot in my throat, one I'd carried since paying rent as a teenager, unraveled. That week Mom texted, "We'll come Saturday to settle you in and bless the house." She listed things they could bring, a plant, a rug, that painting your father loves. Tessa wrote, "I'll do a house tour for my followers." I replied, "Housewarming at 5. Only later did I wonder, are they coming to celebrate or to stake a claim? Saturday answered that. They were at a dealership, watching Tessa drive in circles. Dad was probably haggling the APR on speakerphone. Mom was likely filming, eyebrows raised like she was the one surprised. Everyone clapped for a car that lost value the moment it left the lot. No one saw the door I'd paid to open. When Dad called saying, "We need to talk," his tone wasn't celebratory. It was logistics, my house a resource to be allocated. The chili in my sink didn't anger me on its own. It was the latest thread in a pattern, always different but tracing the same outline. A favor with my name on it, a plan where I'm the fallback, a family where love sounds like "just sign here." I didn't answer Dad's now. I texted, "Tomorrow afternoon." He replied, "Don't be dramatic." In my family, dramatic means you didn't agree fast enough. That night, the lemon tree rustled, dropping a single fruit onto the grass. I sat on the porch swing, watching a moth flutter at the light. My phone sat heavy on the table. I left it untouched. The sky turned purple, then plain. I made a list for tomorrow. Half chores, half resolve. In the morning, I wiped the counters again, bracing for a conversation where someone would hand me a folder and call it love. They arrived early, like a strike team. Dad's truck, Mom's SUV, Tessa's shiny red car with crooked temporary tags. I watched through the peephole. Tessa checked her hair in the visor. Mom pressed her lips tight, like a teacher about to scold. Dad held a clipboard, naturally. I opened the door before they rang. "Hey," I said. Mom air-kissed near my cheek. "We'll bless the house after." "After what?" I asked. Dad strode into my living room like he owned it. Tessa filmed a quick pan for her story, saying to her phone, "Look at my brother's house." They didn't remove their shoes. They didn't admire the fish tile. They didn't ask about the lemon tree. Dad set his clipboard on my counter. Let's get to it, he said. To what? I asked, though I knew. He flipped a page, printouts, headings, bullet points. He was animated. First, Tessa's insurance is a ripoff, so we're registering her car to your address. She'll park here sometimes. No, I said. He blinked. What? No, I repeated. No registration here unless someone lives here. Mom softened instantly, helpful. She'll be here a lot, she said. She needs stability. Tessa leaned on the counter, phone in hand. It's not a big deal, she said. Everyone does it. It's basically victimless. It's not about crime, I said. It's about my name. Dad sighed like I was a stubborn kid. You're being inflexible. He moved on. Next, we need to add your dad to the deed. You are my dad, I said. He ignored me. For estate planning, to keep things tidy if something happens to you. If something happens, I said. My will's in my desk. 2 witnesses, Mike from work and his girlfriend, signed it last month. No one goes on my deed. Mom's smile tightened. We're protecting you, she said. You don't get how the world works. I read, I said. I get it. Tessa looked insulted, like I'd refused her latest product pitch. So selfish, she muttered. We're literally family. Dad flipped another page. Fine. Then pull some cash out. Refinance, take an $80,000 equity line. We'll help manage it. Tessa needs a down payment for a storefront. There it is, I said. What? Mom asked, startled. The reason you skipped my housewarming, I said. You were planning what to do with my house. Tessa threw up her hands. We were celebrating my car. It's a milestone. You're being petty. Dad tapped the clipboard. This is the milestone. Be strategic. Money in walls is idle. Unlock it. Tessa's boutique will repay it. Tessa's boutique, I said. The candles, the pop-ups you cancel when you're tired, the brand you've renamed 3 times. She bristled. You're so negative. This is why you don't get invited places. I invited you here, I said. You went to a dealership. Mom cut in, her voice thick with practiced compassion. Aaron, we raised you, housed you, fed you. Family shares resources with the child who needs it most. You're stable. Tessa's launching, 6 months, maybe a year. You carry more now, then she'll carry you later. Later. I said. I just settled here. Dad leaned forward, elbows on my counter. Be a man. Step up. You taught me to be a man by charging me rent at 14, I said. I stepped up. I saved. I did this alone. This house isn't a team effort. The room tensed. In our family, this is where you're supposed to yield. Dad's voice will rise or Mom will cry. Tessa senses that moment and wraps it around her like a shawl. She pointed a manicured finger. You don't even use both bedrooms, she said. I could move in, help with content, pay a little. How much? I asked. She blinked. Why does that matter? Money's energy, it flows. Dad slapped the clipboard. Enough. Here's the plan. I'll call my guy, we'll fix the deed to protect you, refinance for a cushion, register Tessa's car here, and you'll host Thanksgiving since you have space. No, I said, voice steady. To all of it. Mom's eyes welled, a familiar mix of real and rehearsed. Why are you punishing us? She whispered. This isn't punishment, I said, calm settling like a latch clicking. This is boundaries. Dad scoffed. Boundaries from what? From your family, I said. From a role I didn't choose. From Aaron will handle it. From being the budget line for your plans. Tessa's voice sharpened. You're lucky, you got a house. Some of us need help. I needed help too, I said. I gave it to myself. Dad pointed, his voice low. You don't shut out blood. I'm not shutting, I said. I'm securing what I earned. He stood taller, anger quiet but rewriting me in his mind. If you do this, don't come crying when you're alone, he said. Mom added. And don't expect us to show up when you need something. I looked at the lemon on the counter, tempted to hand it to them as a gesture. I didn't. Tessa checked her watch dramatically. I have content to film. Are we done? We're done, I said. House rules. No registrations unless you live here. No keys handed out. No one on my deed. No loans. If Grandma needs medicine, I'll help her directly. Otherwise, this house isn't a family ATM or storage unit. Want to store the table saw? Bring cash for a shed, and we'll sign a receipt. Dad laughed, sharp and bitter. A receipt, he said like it was an insult. Yes, I said. A receipt. Mom said, You've changed. I've moved, I replied. They left, the door closing with a weight words couldn't match. Tessa revved her car, as if to outshine my porch light. I watched her taillights vanish. My pulse thrummed in my jaw. Inside, I wrote the rules on an index card and taped it inside the pantry. For me, not them. People think the big stand is the hard part. It's not. The hard part is the weeks after, when your phone becomes an alarm and you have to choose not to rush into the fire just because it's familiar. Within an hour, the group chat erupted. Mom, your behavior was unacceptable. Dad, ungrateful. Tessa, a DMV screenshot with address change needed, captioned. My brother's literally sabotaging me. 3 of her friends liked it. A stranger DM'd me a snake emoji. I muted the chat, silenced my ringer, and set Grandma and Mike from work as favorites to still get through. Then, quietly, without fanfare, I did the tedious work. Changed the smart lock code, deleted temporary ones from move-in day, installed a locking mailbox to keep my bank statements private, emailed my insurance agent to require my written signature and a password for changes, froze my credit because I know Dad's definition of emergency, and set an alert on my property records for any filings. I called Tessa's dealership, asking if anyone tried using my address. The clerk said, Yeah, someone mentioned a family property for insurance. We haven't processed it. I said, Don't, and followed up with an email, saving it in a folder called House Paper Trail. In my family, records are how you anchor reality. Mom's calls escalated, 6 missed, then 9. Voicemails cycled from scolding to soft to threatening to soft again. We can fix this. If you love me, call. We'll be at your house at 7. Then a sigh. I don't know you anymore. Dad sent 2 links. One to a refinance calculator, one to a storage shed. Caption: Be reasonable. I didn't reply. Tessa aimed at me on her story. Some people laugh when you drive. Drive anyway. Over a car photo. Commenters wrote, Haters gonna hate. I closed the app, picked 2 lemons, and gave one to the neighbor who'd welcomed me on move-in day. She said she uses them in tea. We chatted about nothing for 4 minutes, like breathing clean air. On day 3, Mom tried a new tactic. We'll help with your mortgage if you sign a family agreement to keep the house in us. The phrase in us was in quotes, like she knew it was wrong but wanted it to sound right. I replied, No one goes on my deed. 6 hours later she wrote, You'll be alone at holidays. I typed, Maybe, but I'll have a chair to sit in. Aunt Mara left a voicemail, humming a hymn, then said, Blood is thicker than pride. I googled the quote later and laughed. It means the opposite. I didn't call back. Dad showed up one Saturday morning before coffee. I watched him through the peephole, fist raised then lowered. He texted, Come out. I replied, No surprise visits. Make an appointment. He photographed my house, as if that could intimidate me, then drove off. I noted the date and time on a post-it for the paper trail. That afternoon, Tessa fed Mom a line. Tessa just needs a mailing address for the DMV. Just mail. I sent the state law on primary residence and wrote. No. Tessa replied with 12 eye roll emojis. You're obsessed with rules. I wrote. Rules keep houses yours. Grandma called after her soap opera. They're mad, she said plainly. You eating? I am, I said. Made chili. Freeze some, she said. Don't let your mom guilt you into giving them your walls. I won't, I said. We talked about her meds. I set them to auto-ship to her door. You're a good boy, she said. Don't be a fool. Her version of I love you, keep the doors locked. I sent her the order number. She stuck it on her fridge. We're alike. Numbers prove things happened. On day 5, the texts quieted, which scared me more than the noise. Quiet means they're regrouping. At noon, my title company emailed. FYI, received inquiry re-adding party to deed. No action taken. Attached was a blurry form with my parcel number and father, under new owner. No signature, just boldness on paper. The assistant wrote. We rejected it, but wanted you to know. I sent 10 thank yous and asked them to flag future attempts. I printed the email from my folder, ate a sandwich over the sink, and shook my head until the anger dulled. That night, the group chat renamed itself Family Emergency. Mom wrote, meeting Sunday. Non-negotiable. I typed, I won't be there, and muted it. Dad wrote, you will. We're your parents. Time to grow up. I set my phone down, hung a hallway shelf with a stud finder and level, and felt the house settle as screws bit into wood. I placed a bowl on the shelf for my keys, mine alone. On Sunday at 5, while they met without me, I grilled 2 burgers, gave one to my neighbor, who later texted, you're a good neighbor. I watched the string lights glow, heard the lemon tree rustle, and ate my burger in a chair I'd bought myself. I thought about Dad's phrase family asset, and how long I'd mistaken family for shared access to me. The next morning, Mom tried a final ritual. We took your keys. We're blessing your house with oil. I changed the locks. They had no keys. I told her so. She sent a photo of an oil jar on their kitchen table. We're praying for you. I wrote, thanks. Keep your hands off my deed. She didn't reply. A week after the failed housewarming, I hosted one anyway. 5 coworkers, 2 basketball buddies, my neighbor. Same chili, same plastic spoons. We sat on the creaky porch swing, swapping stories about work blunders and old apartments with pests. At 7:40, my phone buzzed face down. I ignored it. At 9:10, someone said, this place feels like you. I went to bed at 11 with dishes in the sink, phone on Do Not Disturb, and woke at 6:30 to light filtering through lemon leaves, feeling a quiet that wasn't hollow. The locked mailbox delivers a daily reminder. This is yours. This is yours. This is yours.